Zero Tsukikami no Kamen is a game released on the Nintendo Wii back in 2008. This game only came out in Japan, with the reasons as to why it never got an English release left up in the air. The game did get a fan translation patch in 2010, so this once missing title in the Fatal Frame / Project Zero series, I'll be referring to the series as Project Zero since that's the PAL name for the series and that's where I'm based, could be enjoyed by fans outside of Japan. Thankfully, with the success of the remaster of Project Zero, Maiden of Black Water, Koei Tecmo decided to remaster this game and it was officially localized as Fatal Frame / Project Zero, Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. The Project Zero games are survival horror games where the player character must defend themselves from hostile spirits using the power of the camera obscura. This game's events are also the earliest in the series, with the other Project Zero games taking place after this one. In Project Zero, Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, you take control of 4 different characters as they explore Rogetsu Island. 3 of them, Ruka Minasuki, Misaki Aso, and Madoka Tsukimori, are girls involved in a kidnapping on the island. The 4th character, Choshiro Kirishima, is the detective who found the girls while investigating Yohaibara, a serial murder suspect who had made his way back to the island and is associated with its hospital. The 3 girls were rescued by Choshiro along with 2 other girls and taken off the island with little to no memories of their time there, where several years later the 2 other girls are found mysteriously dead with their hands covering their faces. Misaki and Madoka arrive back at the island first, with Ruka following to try and remember what had happened on the island in the past. Choshiro, upon the request of Ruka's mother, also arrives on the island to look for them. As the characters explore the island, they'll encounter ghosts that will attack them, as well as other spirits and information that will shed some light on the terrible events that happened in the past. But, is the game any good? Find out in The Good. The setting and atmosphere has always been the strongest point of the Project Zero games, and this game is no exception. A majority of the game takes place in the Haibara hospital of the now abandoned Rogetsu Island. Throughout the game's story, you'll find that there was more to the hospital than meets the eye, as well as what happened to the people on the island. The hospital also has a small exhibit dedicated to Professor Kunihiko Aso, the creator of the camera obscura and ancestor of Misaki, which establishes the link the Aso line has to the place. Unlike the original game, the remaster adds and emphasises a blue hue to give the place a colder and more mystical feel. While I feel this adds to the game's atmosphere, there was a charm of dread in exploring an abandoned place with the darker colouring of the Wii original. This game is also one of the very few games where I find having film grain acceptable given the emphasis on photography. It may not be for everyone though, and while it's forced in the game, there are methods on removing it on the PC version if it's not your thing. Just be careful as it can affect how certain effects look. I don't know if it's an artistic vision, but I found even the film grain can't hide how low quality some of the textures are in the game, though I got used to them after a while and even changed my mind on them as they seem to fit in the end. A lot of the hostile ghost encounters take place in small rooms or corridors, giving you that sense of claustrophobia. Combined with the ambient effects, this makes exploring a rundown and uninhabited location effective and encountering ghosts much more tense. It's also not unusual to fight more than one ghost, with certain encounters requiring you to fight up to 6 ghosts at once, and certain encounters requiring you to flee as you're unable to damage the ghost. The game adds even more tension by having your characters move slowly, though not as slow as previous games, and having to slowly pick up items, which I'll get to later. If anything, despite Maiden of Black Water's themes, I found the atmosphere in this game to be more unsettling. Project Zero's gameplay is another thing I liked about the game. With the camera obscura, the amount of damage you deal to ghosts come down to how the photo is taken and what film you use. The higher the type on the film, with the exception of type 00, the stronger it is. Taking a photo of a ghost just before they attack can result in a fatal frame moment where the ghost gets stunned and you're able to take multiple images in quick succession. You can also get lenses which can help in battle, but you do need spirit power, which are obtained from taking photos of ghosts to fill a bar to use them. The camera isn't only used for attacking ghosts. You can use it to take photos of ghostly events that you come across during the game, or to get a clue on solving a key obstacle in the phase or chapter you're in. It can also be used to photograph Hozuki dolls, which double as the game's collectibles. Choshiro is a little different, as unlike the other 3 characters, he doesn't use a camera obscura to fight ghosts. Ruka's mother instead gives Choshiro a spirit stone flashlight, which, unlike the camera and Ayane's flashlight in Maiden of Black Water, is used to fight ghosts in a third-person view. Choshiro does get a special camera lens which he can use to take photo of clues, events and collectibles, however he cannot take photos of ghosts to damage them. The flashlight is charged by moonlight instead of taking film, and the more Choshiro uses it, the longer it will take to charge to full. Some of the game's spiritual events do happen out of the way of your current objective, and the Hozuki dolls can be found in really unusual places. Taking photos and using the flashlight can also give you points you can spend on buying better film or healing items, and this remaster adds a map to help you find the Hozuki dolls as well. You can also pick up red and blue spirit stones which are used to power up the lenses and camera/flashlight respectively, and you can pick up functions which provide other benefits like seeing how much health a ghost has, a dodge mechanic, and guiding you on the timing of a fatal frame shot, to name a few. I found the game's story to be pretty interesting as well. Without spoiling too much of it, what ties the story with the atmosphere and mysticism of the game is a fictional illness known as Moonlight Syndrome, which is a condition unique to Ragetsu Island, which can affect the victim's memories as well as other effects like sleepwalking and changes in behaviour based on the moon. The key thing with Moonlight Syndrome is how faces are shown, as they can appear as blurs or ripples like the reflection on water. This also plays a part in the gameplay as well, since enemy ghosts can sometimes bloom in the middle of battle randomly, and the telltale sign for this is their face. This will make the ghost more aggressive and, especially on higher difficulties, significantly more dangerous, as an attack from a bloomed ghost will deal more damage or even outright kill you if you're not careful. A lot of the game's story can be uncovered through notes that you can pick up throughout the game, but the ghostly events you can take photos of and even cutscenes will help you piece it all together, so there isn't an over-reliance on notes to piece everything together. However, the game's not perfect, so let's address what didn't work so well in the bad. The ghostly hand returns. As a matter of fact, this is the actual game that debuts it, and you can tell since it works even worse than in Maiden of Black Water. To get you up to speed, there are certain moments where a ghostly hand may grab your character as soon as they reach out to grab an item. The chance of this hand appearing is completely random, and if it successfully grabs you, then you'll take damage. Unfortunately, with this game, the ghostly hand will pretty much telegraph when it's coming, with your character making an audible sound, allowing you to let go of the button to successfully avoid it. As a result of this, throughout my entire playthrough of the game, I didn't even get grabbed by it once. The hand also moves slow, which makes avoiding it easier, and after avoiding it you can just continue to reach out even through the hand to safely pick up the item. I also found that I was generally safe with key items, as the ghostly hand seemed to be present when picking up spirit stones. One thing about the Project Zero game that I liked was their random encounters. It gave the impression that you weren't always safe and that there's always potential danger around every corner. With Mask of the Lunar Eclipse though, I feel that it does away with this, since I don't feel the ghost encounters are random at all, and some of them can be missed entirely if you choose not to explore the entire area available to you. The closest I got to a random encounter is one of Choshiro's near the end of one of his sections. There's a ghost that has a chance of appearing in a particular room, or in the room after it. Sometimes you might not even encounter the ghost at all, and you can obliviously head on to the end of the section. Another point of frustration is getting certain ghosts to bloom, which I described earlier in this review. The game does keep track of ghosts that you fight throughout the game, and there's an entry for bloomed versions of certain ghosts for completionism's sake. But getting the ghost to bloom is a different story, as there is a random chance they can bloom, and you're required to damage the ghost to do so. Sometimes you can beat a ghost that can bloom without them even blooming at all and miss the chance entirely. In Choshiro's case, your flashlight can be powered up to be so strong that you can just take out a ghost in a couple of hits, which makes the process even worse. The only other gripe I have is lining up photos of ghostly events and collectibles. One event you really need to be particularly quick on is the ghosts appear as two events. One where they are running past you under some stairs, and another as they're peeking into a room. You may not even notice that you're missing the one of them going past the stairs until you check your list, since it happens as one event. Lining up the right angle for the Hozuki dolls and the revenants, or hidden ghosts, can be a bit of a pain too, but at least you know when you've got the right angle, since the reticle will turn blue, which can cause some grief, as Hozuki dolls you've already found won't have the reticle turn blue, so if you've forgotten that you've gotten that doll, you could spend time walking and moving around the doll to try and line up a shot when you don't need to. Some revenants won't even be available until you get a certain lens, which requires you to beat the game while fulfilling a certain condition. And unlike Maiden of Black Water, you can't just pick a chapter to go through and collect what you've missed. It's a whole new playthrough. Though thankfully, New Game Plus will keep track of what you've encountered already. With that out of the way, I think it's about time I give the opinion. Project Zero Mask of the Lunar Eclipse was a pretty fun experience for me, and being able to play it on a platform that didn't require me to use a Wiimote is pretty refreshing. This game introduced the third-person over-the-shoulder view that the Wii make, get it, of Project Zero 2, and Maiden of Black Water would follow on and use. The game's setting and atmosphere is still its strongest aspect, and I found that how this game handled it alongside its storytelling and how events played out were handled better than Maiden of Black Water in my opinion. The gameplay I did find mixed, with me enjoying using the camera obscura and Spirit Stone flashlight, but not overly enjoying the ghostly hand mechanics and more predictable encounters and the possible frustrations on beating the game. The game does feature 2 endings, and simply beating the game on hard or higher is required for the second ending. Thankfully, hard is unlocked by default as opposed to being unlocked by beating the game on normal in the original Wii release. I think this game is a good remaster, and I sure hope Koei Tecmo bring the other games across for modern audiences. If you like survival horror games, then this series is certainly one that you should look into playing. So with that, it's time for my rating. I would give Project Zero Mask of the Lunar Eclipse this even better photo I took of the main characters bullying a poor ghost out of 10. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next Infinite Backlog review. If you enjoyed today's review, feel free to check out some of our other videos and subscribe for more. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram and our Facebook page. Once again, thank you for watching.